All right, everyone. Happy Friday. Happy Grand Final Friday, Grand Final weekend to my fellow Australians. My team, Stevie, they're not in the final. The Hawthorn Hawks, my beloved Hawks. It appears you can only have one successful sporting team. Do you have any other sporting teams, by the way?
No, mine. I like Leeds. Really, really like Leeds, but don't have any other sporting teams. I like the Chicago Bulls. I like them. They were good. Michael Jordan, brilliant. But that's it.
Yeah. I just never really thought of you even liking other sports. What other sports do you like?
I don't know. Well, it's,
Darts?
I love the darts, of course. Aye. But some people say that's not a sport. But you know my thoughts on that. But I love the darts. Up there with football, obviously. Sleeping, professional sleeping, maybe.
Do you want to let people in the wee secret? I won't play the WhatsApp because
Aye, please don't.
that's against the rules. But I did wake up. I woke up to a message for Stevie this morning, basically saying you were lying in bed about to fall asleep, and you remembered you signed up to do this video.
I only learned because the other subscriptions told me a video just dropped that wasn't yourselves, and I just went, oh no! Couldn't believe it. I was out all day after work, not drinking, but doing stuff with my daughter. She had an event at Kelvin Grove and it took it out of me, Hamish, cream crackered. But as a pro, I'll turn up and I'll half-arse this and then give you 5 minutes and fall asleep when you're asking me stuff.
Fall asleep when I start talking. That's usually how it works. Stevie, thank you for staying up. It's much appreciated. It really is, and I'm sure everyone agrees with that.
Don't worry about that.
Big night last night for Celtic Women. They've done it, everyone. They've qualified for the UEFA Women's Champions League proper for the first time. They beat the Ukrainian champions Vorskla Poltava 2-0 last night. That's 3-0 on aggregate. The goals last night came from Emma Lawton and Shannon McGregor. Stevie, fabulous stuff. Those goals have Elena Sadiko's side into the 16-team group stage. I was looking at the teams that they could face as well. You've got Barcelona, Lyon, Wolfsburg, Bayern Munich, Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City, Real Madrid, Juventus. Certainly the three English clubs, Chelsea, Arsenal, Man City, Barcelona, Lyon, I think are the real big dogs of women's football. So we're in there, Stevie. It's going to be interesting to see how they get on. Maybe get a wee game at Celtic Park as well. We, of course, have history with the women's team at Celtic Park. I once sat next to you for their, I think, 3-1 victory over Glasgow City.
Is that our history? What a link that was, Hamish. It was a good night. I actually enjoyed that. It was a good night, wasn't it? But yeah, am I not right in saying as well that a lot of that was down to the fact that Celtic let the ultras in, the Green Brigade and the boys to create the Celtic end, which was fantastic. As far as I'm aware, that won't be happening, won't it not? Even though they've got there, that's not going to be happening.
I don't know. I'd love to see them play at least one game at Celtic Park. I think if you picked the big dogs, whoever we play, and I think if you market it as both a chance to see Celtic, but also to see some of the best talents in women's football, I think you would get a really good crowd at Celtic Park. But I think you would need that Celtic end type idea, or at the very least the Green Brigade or Boys Celtic to be there. Because I think that's a big part, rightly or wrongly, why people would want to go and be part of an atmosphere. But I think if all of that came together and the club embraced all of that stuff that they maybe don't want to with the Celtic end, and also maybe promoting the opposition a bit too much, then I think you could get a really good crowd. And I hope at least one game's at Celtic Park, because they really deserve that opportunity.
Yeah, and it'd be good. The club in recent weeks, you've not seen a lot of resistance from them in general this season. So I really don't understand the politics or whatever behind the Celtic end thing, and not letting the Green Brigade and the boys Celtic just do it for just one game. I think it would be good,
Yeah.
and it encourages the idea, and it gives the team backing as well. And people genuinely did seem to enjoy that last time. I mean, I know from where we were sitting in the press area, like it looked to it, and then I went and saw videos when I got home, and people genuinely did seem to have a good time. People that I would never have imagined, like going along to the women's games and actually enjoying it, and they did. So if they can convert some of the people like I know already who seems if they go along to the women's games, they could convert even more. And then bottom line is that's money for Celtic, and I'm sure Celtic would never turn their nose up at that, would they, Hamish?
Yeah, and it's also a great opportunity for the team, Elena Sidiko's team, to go and match themselves against the best teams, better teams than we'll ever face in Scottish football. So, yeah, amazing stuff. So well done. They've come through a fair old arduous qualification campaign. I think 4 different matches they had to play. They've won them all. So, yeah, fabulous. And they'll get their reward in the group stage draw, which will be coming up. Right, in terms of the men's team, Stevie, we've got St Johnstone this weekend. It's felt a pretty big build-up to this game, hasn't it? And the irony is, after the game, we'll have virtually no build-up to a pretty huge game against Borussia Dortmund, but that's the way things are these days. I believe Brendan Rodgers has a 100% winning record in Perth.
He does, yes. Starting from when he won in 2016 in a 4-2 game in August, every match he's played there, he's won fairly comfortably too. And I would actually add in the last season's game in December when he infamously read the riot act. Callum McGregor, Matt O'Reilly, and Christ, James Forrest when it scored as well that
Yeah.
game.
Remember Joe
Coincidentally
Hart
enough,
made a save right at the end?
2-1, yeah. Here's one for you as well. I don't know if you've got this noted, but James Forrest has scored a hell of a lot of goals against St Johnstone, by the way.
Well, he scored 4 in one game, didn't he?
He scored in Brendan's first win there, the 4-2 game, where he beat 3 players
Outside
and put
of
it
the
in
foot.
to make it 3-0. He scored in a 2-0 game when I think Timo Weah made it 1-0, I think. Yeah, I think he might have scored the opener, actually, in 2019. The ones you mentioned, and of course in the 3-1 game as well. We beat them 4-0 2017 November, and I can't remember the scorers there. I want to say Sinclair, Griffiths, and
And
Dembele, but I don't
Cham
know who.
scored, I think. I think was that the game. Was that the game we broke some sort of a record? Was it like would that be the most unbeaten? Did that equal the record for the unbeaten games or something like that?
Rings a bell because, of course, there was a big thing about that, and then Hearts, obviously, the next month when finished that.
Yeah, I noticed that you had made a mistake on GigPod because you had 6 games down and 6 wins for Brendan Rodgers, but there's one you've forgotten about. And to be honest, I don't blame you because I don't remember it either. A League Cup victory, start of 2018-19 season. Lee Griffiths apparently scored very late on. Dedrick Boyata gets sent off. I don't remember that game at all.
Well, did it? If I can't remember it, did it really happen, Hamish? I mean, you know what my
Apparently,
memory
because
is like.
we won the League Cup that year, so it must have happened.
I don't remember that at all. No. But anyway, listen, a player that I never criticised, and the Celtic support obviously loved, got us through that game that I can never remember, of course.
That's the games on screen, everyone. Seven wins from 7. How many do you think we've won in Perth in a row, all in?
Off the top of my head, all in, I'm going to say about. I think the last points dropped there was 2014, so I'm going to say about. I don't know, man, maybe 12 or 13.
14 in a row
Oh,
we've won in Perth, but it only goes back to the Ronnie Dyla days, 2015-16. I think they
ah,
beat us end of that season. I think we'd already won the league. They beat us 2-1. I vaguely remember that night as well as being a bit of a dead rubber. That was the night Lee Griffiths broke his record for the however many goals. I remember he scored the opener. But yeah, 14 wins in a row for Celtic in Perth. 16 wins in a row for this team in all competitions at the moment. That's if you include the Hampden semi-final penalty victory over Aberdeen, which I'm including because we won that game. So with all that considered, Stevie, and St Johnstone struggling badly, they've got Andy Kirk in interim charge. We should be all right on Saturday, you would think.
yeah, we should be. And usually I'm on here pretty cautious, and I'm not ever over the top. And I do try and give a certain level of respect to who we're playing. I think, I've always been that way on here, but we really should be rolling over the top of St Johnstone. I think they're a really poor side. I'm not going to go right into the details why I've not got a lot of time for St Johnstone, but you know how a lot of people, had that like mad hatred for like the likes of Livingston and Hamilton and all that. I've got that for St Johnstone. I just think the surface is always crap. Stadium looks terrible. Just the way the camera faces on the multicoloured seats and everything. And I'm getting off on a tangent, right? I'm not going to go
No,
into that.
I'm
I promise.
enjoying it. I'm enjoying it.
Promised I wouldn't. It's just I find them a complete waste of time. I really do. And people can say, Stevie, you're out of order there, and show a bit of respect and all that. But one of the times I can't. So the people saying that are probably the people that have probably went through Livingston and Hamilton that have St Johnstone and that level too. So we really should have no problems on Saturday, and I mean that sincerely.
Yeah, it's an interesting tangent to go off on, and I'll be honest with you, everyone. There's not a great load of talking points really ahead of this game. We'll go into the team in a wee minute, but I think that's interesting just to go into. So St Johnstone are your team that you don't like, maybe for trivial reasons you would maybe say, but I think it's kind of nice to have a team like that. What about everyone else? Let us know in the comments. Is there a Scottish team that you don't particularly like? And I know they're all going to say Rangers now. I'm talking about a team that normal people would maybe look at and go, they're pretty harmless, but for whatever reason, trivial or whatever, you don't like them. I'm trying to think while I speak if I've got one.
Oh, come on. You do. Livingston, they're yours.
Yeah, because my record at going to watch Celtic at Livingston up until recent times was horrendous. I think we'd been there 4 times and I'd not even seen Celtic score a goal.
But Hamish, it's similar too. Like around Livingston, there's absolutely nothing. It's just an all-round rubbish stadium. You've moaned about all that to me too, so I can like have something in common with you there, and we had disdain for a lesser opponent.
Yeah, I think Livingston would be up there. I'm not a fan of Inverness either. I don't think they really bring much. Anyway, that was a fascinating tangent to go off on. What about the team for this game, Stevie? We'll find out today from Brendan Rodgers for sure. The chat is that Cameron Carter-Vickers is expected to miss the game. Alistair Johnson could return. I am going, and listen to this and let me know what you think. Schmeichel, Johnston, which we can maybe come back to, Trusty, Scales, Taylor, McGregor, Engels, Bernardo, Kuhn, Ida, Maida.
Yeah, although I do have a feeling that that's the team I'd like to see, but I do have a feeling he'll play Real Hatate still and keep Bernardo for the game in midweek.
I think he'll do the opposite.
I hope you're right, because I think the big thing for me is the 3 players that must start are Nicholas Kuhn, Daizen Maeda, and Arne Engels. Play those 3 guys from the start. Just go. I think we've got to have the mentality of getting out and seeing that game to bed in the first half. Couple of goals ahead. Just a really slick professional job. Have this team playing as good as we know they can play, and just really see that game to bed in the first half, and then maybe around the hour mark when the game is generally won, start bringing the players off and have one eye on the game against Dortmund. I know people will be already in the comments going, no, the game lasts 90 minutes and you've got to treat Saturday as the biggest game, and each game is as big as the other and all that. But I think we do know that Dortmund one is going to be monumental for us next Tuesday. So I agree with that. I think we've got to really have that midfield. If it goes with Bernardo and McGregor and Engels in there, they'll have too much quality against St Johnstone. You've got to remember St Johnstone as well. They've only won 1 game this season. That was against Kilmarnock, and Kilmarnock were down to 10 men as well. Watched them in the highlights against Ross County. Really offered very little threat other than 2 set pieces from Nicky Clark, so we've got to maybe watch out for that. But they're defending, especially for the 2 goals. And interestingly enough, 2 goals from crosses out wide. One in open play and one was a set piece, Hamish. So I think that's something that hopefully the manager will look towards the likes of Scales and the likes of Trusty to punish St Johnstone with that, because it's clear after Saturday that they're really struggling in defence, especially out wide. So if we do our job and we're professional enough, I think we'll have no problems with that one on Saturday. Famous last words, of course, but
yeah,
I just have so much confidence in this team, and I don't think I'm out of order with that. I just feel this side have built, they've gained that trust from us as fans, and we've got to go into these games thinking that the team will be more than good enough to get 3 points here.
Yeah, I think you go strong with your team. Brendan Rodgers is going to go strong. I just think there's certain players in my team that will be suited well to this game. I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just think this is a Bernardo game rather than a Hatate game. I think Hatate, I know John had raised the point of whether this midfield I'm choosing for this game, McGregor, Engels, Bernardo, would be the midfield for Dortmund, because maybe there's a bit more legs and switched on kind of defensive minds with Bernardo playing rather than Hatate. I just think I think Rodgers is going to want to carry an attacking threat against Dortmund, and I think Rio Hatate is a big player, big pitch. He's really good at finding those areas. And I know you've kind of made some points about Hatate recently, I've got more of a worry about Hatate playing in a game like St Johnstone than I do in a game like Dortmund. I just feel as if, at that European level, I know he's not always perfect and he gives the ball away, but I think his game's really suited to that European level and he can find those passes. Whereas I just wonder if his concentration will be just at the same level against St Johnstone and on, I know we're still in September, but I assume the pitch should be all right, but it often isn't in Perth. But I just feel like Bernardo's kind of grit and quality in that game on Saturday's what to go for, and Ida as well. I think it's an Ida game, and I think you'll see Kyogo play against Dortmund. I could be wrong, it's just my hunch.
I think with the Bernardo part as well, like with Hatate, I can see your point, because if it's a slick surface and a good pitch, which it will be, in the old Westphalen to me on Tuesday, like Hatate will perform well on that, because it's one where he can actually play like a real killer pass. Like, you can't imagine on that cow field in Perth, Hatate's like ball will be bobbling and just a general
stuck
surface
under his foot and all
terrible.
that.
I've genuinely never once seen a good surface there at all, but I'm not going to keep going on about them. You know my thoughts. Whereas Bernardo can offer you good battling qualities there. And in terms of ball retention, he'll be key. I think it'll be a case if we does start with Bernardo and McGregor, they two will be the ones to win the ball, feed it to Engels, and Engels would be the guy to damage St Johnstone. He's got to start. We have Engels playing in there, honestly, and have him really. Hopefully, he is massively up for it, because he looked so fresh and he looked up for it against Falkirk. His attitude's not in doubt at all. So I think he'll treat that St Johnstone game just like he would do, a Champions League game. I think he'll be right on it. We have him on it, and the likes of Nicholas Kuhn, who's been in outstanding form, in Maeda supplying whoever the striker is. Yeah, we should be good enough to get a win there. I don't know if it's going to be Furuhashi either. I would agree that it should be either. Certainly, he's done enough to warrant a start with his two goals against Falkirk, and of course his goal when he came on as a sub in Europe. So I would like to see it. And I think that's the type of game as well with Ida that you'll get a lot out of him too, because it's going to be a bit of a battle and a physical sort of scrap up top. And I think, I'd have a lot of confidence in him. But bear in mind as well, Farashi's done very well against St Johnstone too. Under Ange, scored a fair few goals up there. So I'm at the point where no matter who it is, full confidence in this Celtic team being professional and doing the job.
Yeah, big game for Trusty and Scales playing together if Carter Vickers does miss again. I don't expect to see Carter Vickers playing, because I think even if he was in normal times able to play this game, I just don't think you take the risk, because we need him for Dortmund on Tuesday. We hopefully don't need Carter Vickers for this game. You would hope we're beyond that point with the rise of Liam Scales and spending 5-6 million on another centre back. You would hope that those two would be able to not fall apart against St Johnstone, just because the big dog isn't there. So I think it's going to be interesting seeing those two playing together for the first time. I expect that to be the case. And who knows, we may end up with them in Dortmund as well. Alistair Johnson, potentially Ralston plays that game. I just thought that because we made so many changes last week to the defence and it clearly had an effect, I would be looking to make that as solid as possible. Certainly Greg Taylor's going to start. Liam Scales is going to be back in. And hopefully we can get the result. Officials wise, Stevie, I know you always love this. Referee Don Robertson. We've
Brilliant
got
guy.
Daniel McFarlane and Craig Ferguson as the assistant referees. The VAR is Alan Muir. Assistant VAR is Graham Leslie. And it's just a wee reminder, you won't need it, but it's a different, unusual kickoff. I can't ever remember us having this kickoff for a league game. 5:45 p.m. Stevie, live on Premier Sports.
one of my boys in my work today, Jake, was on about this. He goes to all the games, home, away, Europe, everywhere. He was a bit miffed at the 5:45 kickoff time, but I don't think. I mean, I would rather like a later kickoff. Maybe this is me, as opposed to, I don't go to all the away games as a lot of other fans do, but I would rather a later game on a Saturday than a really early kickoff. No, is that just me? I think that's probably better, but again, listen, it might muck up plans and all that for people on their Saturday
I
night,
guess
so I
it
can
takes
see that
away for
too.
your Saturday night. You're probably
Ah,
getting home at 10 o'clock and stuff, aren't you? So your
well,
day's away.
I've not got much of a life other than the football, mate, so I'd be fine with it. But we were talking about that and maybe the other day about 5:30 kickoffs in general. We've seen a few crackers, but it's mostly confined to the cup. But I do remember a league game we played at, I think it was like 6 or maybe a bit later than that on a Friday night. It always sticks out. Motherwell 2013, and it was a game Atajic scored. Do
Right, okay. It was a
you
Friday
remember
night.
that?
Aye. They've
A
done away
Friday.
with the Friday night stuff. I made the point earlier in the week in the Celtic way. I think this game should be tonight, because Dortmund are playing tonight, and I think Celtic should be asking for. Maybe we did ask for that, just an extra day's preparation. I don't know if because like all the Championship games are on a Friday night, maybe that's an issue for. Maybe there's some sort of rule that the Premiership can't play matches there, because I doubt BBC would be too happy if you stick Celtic on, and obviously people are less likely to watch Ayr United or Falkirk or whoever. But I certainly think Friday night football should have been an option this week. But yeah, it's 5:45. I think it's 2:45 in the morning here. So I think the plan is for me and John to do a video after the game, but it's going to be a bit after the game because I need to sleep. So we're going to put the video out first thing on Sunday morning for your a reaction there. And then we'll be looking ahead to Dortmund, Stevie.
We will. Looking forward to getting Saturday out of the way. Genuinely, I'm looking forward to seeing the team, but very, very excited for the Dortmund game. And as it stands now, I mean, I don't want to say there's nothing to fear. They're a quality team, but the way that we set ourselves up, the way we started the season, what we've already done in Europe, like we're going there. We said it, didn't we, the other week? We're going there with optimism. Like, can you imagine we were going there in the back of a draw at home or a defeat? Like we'd be doom and gloom. We wouldn't be looking forward to it. We'd be talking like quite negatively
Let's see
about
how
Celtic.
Saturday goes first.
Aye, okay, but yeah, I think the team will do the job on Saturday. I really do, and then we can really look forward to as you would say, a tasty game next week. And
Would I?
you always like using that word tasty, but it will be I think it will be a cracker. Just two teams looking for the result. Two teams that play good football, wanting to. They'll be into this. You know what I mean? There won't be like a stuffy battle. I think it will be like a really
Yeah.
open game. I think it will be a great match.
Okay, enjoy the game tomorrow, Stevie. Same goes for all of you. Hopefully it's another 3 points for Celtic, and then we can properly discuss the big game on Tuesday night. Thanks for watching, everyone. As I say, next video, first thing Sunday morning, looking back on the game in Perth.